All right, welcome. Today, we're diving into the ancient art of yoga, but our guide is probably not who you're picturing. We're actually getting our wisdom from the personal memoirs of a powerful ancient dragon who found his enlightenment not through fire, but through stillness.
So let's just jump right in. Our guide's name is Zoran, and he's an ancient dragon who stumbled upon a pretty fundamental truth. Real strength, it isn't about the raw power, the roar and the flame. It's about mastering the stillness inside. He figured out that before you can conquer the skies, you gotta master the ground right beneath your own tail.
I know what you're thinking. Why would a creature that can literally level mountains care about posture? Well, Zoran explains that a super powerful body, if it's not tempered, is actually a danger to itself. He really got the ancient yogic idea that a sound body is the foundation for a sound mind. And that's the very first step in Hatha Yoga.
And what's really fascinating here, and Zoran makes a big deal about this, is that the original Hatha Yoga text wasn't about mastering hundreds of crazy poses. Nope. It focused on just 15. The goal was never to be flashy. It was all about building steadiness and health. Preparing the body for the real work, meditation.
Okay, so how did this all actually play out for a dragon? Well, Zoran's first attempts at these poses were, and I'm quoting him here, a mix of enlightening and comedically disastrous. Yeah, he found out really fast that dragon anatomy comes with, well, some pretty unique challenges.
First up was Gomukhasana, the cow face pose. Now, this one requires a pretty intricate binding of the arms behind the back. And let me tell you, this move taught him a huge lesson about anatomy, dignity, and the slight inconvenience of having wings.
I mean, as you can probably guess, his magnificent wings were not exactly consulted when this pose was designed. The result was this legendary tangle that, needed outside help and ended up becoming a piece of local folklore for centuries.
And the difference in outcomes here is just fantastic. So while humans doing this pose often feel this big emotional release, Zoran's experience was a little different. He found the energy circuit was so intense, he actually singed his meditation cushion, and for 3 days straight could only breathe these delicate butterfly-shaped flames. Seriously.
All right, next up was a pose that Zoran calls his greatest humiliation, Kukutasana. So the goal here is to balance your entire body on your palms while you're in lotus position. For a dragon that weighs several tons, this turned out to be a bit of an affront to his very nature. His attempt, as he puts it, looked less like a proud cockerel and a lot more like a wounded pterodactyl having an existential crisis. That awakening of Kundalini energy the text promised, for him, it was more of an explosive event that accidentally set fire to a nearby banyan tree. Whoops.
So the classical sequence actually has you transition from that humbling cockerel pose directly into this next one, which involves rolling onto your back. For Zoran, this transition was, let's say, less of a graceful roll and more of a controlled avalanche.
And this just perfectly illustrates the sheer scale of the challenge we're talking about. The ground literally trembled. But, despite the pretty undignified landing, he said he felt this profound toning of his nervous system and a deep cellular relaxation he hadn't experienced since he was a hatchling. So something worked. But look, it wasn't all struggles and minor seismic events. Some poses really resonated with his draconic spirit. They felt less like an awkward thing he had to do and more like a return to his true nature.
The bow pose, Dhanurasana, felt wonderfully natural to him. He describes it as drawing back a cosmic bow, getting ready to shoot an arrow of pure consciousness. In fact, his first successful attempt created such a massive surge of joy that he accidentally launched himself 20 feet into the air. Just boom!
And this brings us to the really crucial turning point in Zoran's practice. He started to get it. He realized the goal of yoga wasn't about conquering the poses with brute force. It was about learning the art of intelligent surrender.
This simple forward fold, this became his greatest teacher. He describes his first tries as folding forward with the fluid grace of a collapsing drawbridge. And through that struggle, he discovered the pose isn't about touching your toes. It's about touching your soul.
And here it is, the real breakthrough. When he stopped fighting his own anatomy, when he just allowed his body to express its own wisdom, everything changed. He learned to explore his limits with curiosity, not try to conquer them with force.
So, after mastering these incredible balancing acts and deep forward folds, you might be wondering,
What did Zoran consider the ultimate challenge? The answer is surprisingly simple, yet, as he found out, profoundly difficult.
Yeah, for a creature of constant vigilance, of pure action and power, the simple act of just lying still was, at first, impossible. Learning to consciously relax, to actually trust the universe and let go of all that effort, that was his most profound and transformational lesson of all.
So after centuries of practice, what wisdom does a dragon have to share with the rest of us? Well, Zoran boils his whole journey down into a few key pieces of advice that apply to any practitioner, regardless of species. So his guidance comes in 6 steps. It all starts with humility and honoring your unique anatomy. From there, it's about seeking the essence of the pose, not just making the shape, and really embracing that it's a long journey. Only then can you find your authentic roar, and finally, you integrate it all by learning how to rest deeply. See, the goal isn't to master the poses, it's to let the poses master you.
Ultimately, what Zoran found was that yoga didn't diminish his power or tame his spirit at all. Instead, it refined it. His fire transformed from a force of destruction into a tool for transformation. And his roar? It became a way to inspire courage, not fear.
And so Zoran leaves us with this final, playful challenge. It's a great reminder that this ancient path of self-discovery is for everyone, and that a little bit of humor and humility can make the journey that much more enlightening. He promises not to laugh. Well, not much anyway.